You're now South Beltway. I'm John Fredericks, and I am your blowtorch of free speech in America. I want to thank you guys for joining us today. As always, all good. We got Phill Kline. We've got Jim Pfaff, head of the Conservative Caucus, based in Washington D.C. We're fired up. I'm here in my studio. Yeah, it's about 35 degrees when I got out here, but I'm nice and toasty warm because I have this on my office and at home and on the bus. I've yet to turn the heat on. I will go the year. Ann said last night, we're going to go the year in Washington, D.C. without ever turning on the heat here, ever. Heat bill's zero. Why? Because I have my Eden Pure Gen 40 Plus infrared heater, Tyler. You need this for your wife and family. You're going to save big dollars. Now, this powerful compact unit, which I've got on right here, right now in the studio and at home, I got two of them. So all I need, because they heat up to 1,000 square feet in a room, but it's infrared heating. Thing's phenomenal. Now, infrared heat warms you directly, not just the air blowing around you and all that dust, forget it. And it doesn't dry out the air, so you breathe better. It's quiet, it's compact, it's safe for pets with multiple built-in safety shutoffs. And it heats up to 1,000 square feet right now. Get this, you're gonna save on your heat bill and pay for it in 2 months, and then you have it forever. It's the best deal in America. Eden Pure is thanking JF listeners with a special radio offer. The Gen 40 Plus normally sells for $224, but Eden Pure is giving our VIP listeners an additional $50 off right now, bringing it to just $174. Trust me, folks, you'll pay for that in 2 months by a lower heat bill. That's $174 for a state-of-the-art infrared heater with all the bells and whistles. Limited time offer. You can only order 3 per family. That's the limit. Supplies are moving fast. Once the snow starts falling, these things are going to run out. They only have so many of them on this deal. Get it now. Go to EdenPureDeals.com. Use promo code Godzilla50. So just go to EdenPureDeals.com. Put in promo code Godzilla50. That's going to send you a $50 discount. They have a 100% money back guarantee. You don't like it, send it back. No problem. You'll never send it back because this thing is phenomenal. Got it at my house, got it here at the studio, got it in a Trump bus, got it in my office in Fairmont. Michael Pasquale's got it. Everybody's got one of these that I know because they were. I'm going to get Pasquale to call. He's got a drafty house that heats it up. And act now before prices gone up or sell out. Just go to EdenPureDeals.com, promo code Godzilla50, and you're good to go. Okay, we're going to get back here. We've got Phill Kline. We've got Jim Pfaff. Jim Pfaff, president of the Conservative Caucus based in Washington, D.C. Phill Kline, Liberty University law professor and also former Attorney General of Kansas. Phill, we got 2 segments now with you and Jim. So you outlined affordability. What's the solution?
Well, the solution is to downsize government, to deregulate government, and also to address some of the concerns that are growing relating to the ability to use algorithms and so forth to manipulate the stock market. So that's part of the push that needs to occur. And I think the first step, John, actually is for Americans to recognize that this has been a long time coming. This is failed government policies from the 1970s through 2020 that has created a crisis for American families.
Okay, but Phill, I mean, you're giving me intellectual arguments, right? Which I appreciate and understand. And they're ideological, but I'm in Central Maryland. I'm in Central Virginia somewhere. I'm in Ohio. I got a family of 5. I got 3 kids and a wife. I can't afford things. Housing prices are up. Interest rates are up. Grocery store prices are up. Everything is up. I'm feeling the pinch. Can't go on vacation. I mean, talking about, deregulation. It's a long time coming. What does that do for me going into Christmas?
Well, that's part of the problem, John, is that it's going to take some time. We got into this mess in time, and we have to have discipline to support Congress. Congress needs to reduce the size of government. President Trump has tried to do that and had some bold proposals. They need to be carried out. The American people can't continue with a $38 trillion deficit, with increasing government spending, mortgaging the next generation, and address affordability. It takes hard choices. For example, coming up in a month is an increase in the Medicaid subsidy that was provided for COVID that is costing this country billions of dollars over a period of years. Will we do that, or will we do some common sense things like eliminate automatic enrollment? You know, if we require a $5 fee, we cut out 20% of that spending because the Democrats passed it with automatic enrollment, and up to 20% of the spending goes to people who aren't eligible.
See, there's a common sense solution right there. Okay.
There's a lot of it.
A
but
simple
Congress
thing
needs to act.
Simple thing. Because I'm trying to get a short-term solution. I understand the long-term implications, and I understand, you know, what infuriates me is Rick Scott and these senators running around. Oh, I got a plan to change Obamacare. You had a frigging year. Now you're going to present me a plan on Thanksgiving with like 3 weeks. I stop. Okay. Nonsense. You don't have crap. Otherwise you would have presented it in March, right? So it's nonsense. You knew this was coming. But what you just said, the simple $5 thing. So people understand what this is. Democrats got automatic enrollment. Here's what it means. People get enrolled that either don't exist, don't need it, aren't on it, are not part of it. They get enrolled automatically. They don't even know they're enrolled. And what happens is the money from the government subsidies go to the insurance companies. So they get the money with a phantom patient, with a phantom insured, or whatever the name is, a person that they're insuring that's phantom. So there'll never be a claim. They'll never claim anything because they don't exist. But the insurance companies are getting the money. So just by saying you got to pay $5 to re-enroll, you're going to cut 20% of the phantom people out. That's what Griffith taught me 3 weeks ago, the congressman in Virginia who's coming up at 8. So that's a common sense solution. And, you know, I think income caps and things of that nature, but you can't get up January the 3rd and you got a family of 4 and now your insurance rate just doubled and you have no way to pay it and now it's going to lapse. You can't do that. If you do that, you're going to lose 20 seats in the House. That doesn't help us, Phill.
Well, there's another thing that we need to do, John. Now I'm switching to political. I can count dozens of changes like that save billions and billions of dollars. But the other thing we need to do, and we've discussed this, and in fact, Jim and I have discussed this, and that is Trump needs to get the 10 to 15 conservative billionaires in a room, create an organization that matches what the left does, that is independent of Trump, independent of a candidate, that seeds this relational building of a network to retake the streets from the Democratic Party, the Saul Alinsky's, and the foreign billionaires. Because America will not support these changes unless we match them on the street, and then common sense will prevail. In other words, Trump needs to leave a legacy for the MAGA movement, and it is this independent funded organization that matches the Swiss billionaires, the Soros, and all those folks, and wins on the streets and radicalization of American culture.
Well, listen, if anybody can do that, what you just outlined, President Trump can. He knows a lot of billionaires. You just got to call a meeting and get it done and say, hey, if you want to protect your wealth, you know, here's what you're going to need to do. Otherwise, you're going to be dealing with Mamdani. Okay, let's bring in Jim Pfaff. Jim is president of the Conservative Caucus, and he's based in Washington, D.C. Shout out to his beautiful wife, Myra. Good to have her. Good to see her a couple of weeks ago, Jim, on election night. Tell her I said hi. Lovely young lady and a tireless activist. So, God, I'm going to shift gears. We'll get back to this in a minute. Yesterday, the Texas federal court rules that the Texas map, which would have given Republicans plus 4 seats, they said it's unconstitutional. It's racial gerrymandering. They shot it down 2-1. Basically, if that holds, the math of us holding the House goes to 0, in my judgment. What do we do now, Jim Pfaff?
Well, obviously the court has. This was, by the way, it was not the full court. It was just 3 judges on this appellate court. So there are appeals to be had. They can potentially I mean, they'll obviously need to make a motion, and by the way, Phil's the expert on these things, but they'll need to make a motion to get it into either the whole court or move it to the Supreme Court. But there's also, because of the so-called racial aspect of this that seems to disturb them so much in the case. By the way, I think the case really, a court doesn't even have a place to be ruling on this. We got courts running these redistricting efforts all over the country for years now, and it's an absurdity. But the Supreme Court's going to rule recently on the Voting Rights Act aspect.
Right, we'll get to that in a minute. I got to go to a short break. We're going to get to the Supreme Court. We're going to get to Texas. We're going to get to the legality of it. We're going to get to Armageddon. We got to get these maps our way. I'll be right back. Welcome back to Outside the Beltway. I'm John Fredericks, and I am your blowtorch of free speech in America. And thanks for being with us today. We got Phill Kline. We've got Jim Pfaff coming up. All good. And we're ready to rock and roll. Good to have you with us, as always. And let me just start by saying that recidivism has been a huge problem in the United States for a very long time. And it's something that I've been focused on, as you know, for a 15-year period. And the math is simple. Every dollar that we waste on unnecessary federal supervision is a dollar we can't use to fight crime. The Safer Supervision Act cuts bureaucratic waste, frees up law enforcement resources to protect families from serious threats. Law enforcement officers across the country and Republicans in Congress agree. This is a smarter way to improve public safety. Stop the waste, protect our communities, fix federal supervised supervision that right now makes no sense. Visit safersupervision.com for help. Safersupervision.com. This message paid for and authorized by the Reform Action Fund. Joining me now again, our good friends, Jim Pfaff and Phill Kline. You know them both. Phill Kline, lawyer, former AG. Phill, everybody's concerned now about this ruling in Texas. Just walk us through, how we get this thing overturned and get these seats back.
Well, the United States Supreme Court in recent decisions has given great deference to legislatures. And in fact, said that partisan gerrymandering, drawing districts like the representation within a state is a political question they will not review. And the Texas legislature says now the member panel that said that map is unconstitutional, ruled under the 14th Amendment, that it was primarily drawn for racial reasons. Texas is responding and saying, now, wait a minute. It was done based on this partisanship representation, and you can't avoid the fact that oftentimes that reflects differences in race. For example, the Democratic Party generally gets 85% of the vote for the Black district. So our primary purpose was not involved in drawing up a racial district. Now here's where it stands. Texas has sought a stay of the order. This would affect the 2026 elections, and many Republicans have announced in Texas that under the old map are no longer there. So it's likely the Supreme Court will issue a stay. This moves forward. That's right now. And then the Supreme Court or the Court of Appeals will rule on it, and then it will go up to the United States Supreme Court for a final decision. Now, Alito is the one who will decide for the Supreme Court whether it be a stay, or he's the one that represents that district. So I think there'll be a stay of the map for the 2026 election that allows the Texas legislative map to move forward.
So the stay helps us.
The stay,
yeah,
yes, it keeps the map that the legislature has drawn
for 26.
Yes,
correct.
That's correct.
If the issue is a stay, then what happens? Because these the Texas primaries are in May normally. There's different people running, for different nominations and parties. So a stay basically takes the 4 seats that Republicans should gain in Texas and cements those in for at least 2026. Is that my understanding?
That's right. That map will be implemented for the 2026 election as the case moves through the process, probably up to the Supreme Court.
What about the debacle going on in Virginia?
Well, it's, as you know, it's going to take a constitution which should not be present during the 2020, the legislature twice, because it passed it during the last election, not before the last election. It requires that this pass twice with an election in between. That hasn't happened. So in other words, it shouldn't be continue voters until after the 2020, the next election. The problem is Virginia lost significantly, John, 34. I mean, it was a disaster on election day for Virginia. So who knows how the Commonwealth will be reshaped in the next few years.
I hope, I mean, what they're banking on, because the referendum is going to pass. I mean, I can already see it. We're setting up a C4. They're trying to build a coalition of good governance. It's like, okay, yes, people are going to be fired up about good governance. No, the Democrats are going to come out to blow your head off. That's what they're going to do. There's no good governance going on in Virginia, but it's a noble effort, right? But the bottom line is, I'm going to fight it with everything I got. It's what they're trying to do in the courts, Jim, in Virginia, is say there was not an intervening election. There has to be an intervening election. What they're going to say is the election was in November. That was after they had the special session. So that's an intervening election. But the problem is 1.3 million people had already voted early or by mail prior to them announcing the special session for the constitutional amendment. So that's going to be their argument. But my fear, if that's not decided on by the Virginia Supreme Court before the referendum, they're going to go with what the people said, and it's likely to pass. And I mean, we got to put a major effort to stop this thing. So if that happens, we're going to lose 4 seats, and it's going to be ugly. I mean, those maps in Virginia, Jim, have you seen what the Democrats proposed? I mean, you're going to have congressional districts. Get this, Jim, that run from Fairfax to Virginia Beach.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And by the way, the argument on voters is kind of interesting because it just kind of puts more light on your point about the 1.3 million votes are already out, because it already puts light on the fact that we're doing these multi-day, multi-month, in some cases, elections, which we've really got to stop. That's a topic I know for another time. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy. You're going to have blue districts reaching out into Western Virginia, even with that, which is just the most absurd thing that you can ever think of. But the reality is that, and what a lot of people are not aware of is this gerrymandering issue did not begin this year. What has happened with this coming up as a discussion this year is the fact that Republicans have been blowing this problem off for decades now. Literally, you've got Illinois and even California's district before they're going to redo it was highly gerrymandered to keep Republicans from having seats. New York is horrible, and obviously all the other states that we've been talking about. There is listen, gerrymandering is bad as a political thing. The reality is that the way that this was all constructed from our founding, from the beginning of every one of these states under our founding, was that the legislatures would draw the districts based upon the census, and that they would be able to determine. They had to, the only restriction was how many people roughly are represented in those districts, not where those districts are drawn. So the political gerrymandering is not the biggest problem. The biggest problem is courts drawing these districts. I was doing politics in Colorado for some years, most of this century. And in 2 different instances while I was there, the state Supreme Court drew the map, literally. That's why that was actually the main reason why they went to something like an independent commission, which they have now, because every time the legislature tried to draw a map, the court decided it was wrong and drew it themselves. That is actually an overreach. It's something that has to stop. in this country because it's the representative government that's supposed to determine these things. So, but listen, the people of Virginia spoke, I guess. It's going to be a nightmare, and it's just a reminder that we have to have elections that are proper and appropriate, and that people need to understand that they have to be involved. Sadly, they ought to be able to live their lives, but they got to be involved at all times and pay attention.
Both you distinguished gentlemen live in Virginia. You're basically screwed. I don't mean to laugh, Phil and Jim. I really don't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for your plight. Unfortunately for you guys, I live in the safest city in America, Washington, D.C. We're protected by President Trump from all the nonsense that's going on. So sorry for you guys' plight living in Virginia. This General Assembly, man, this is going to be fun. Not for you guys. It's going to be fun for me to watch and laugh at every day when they pass one communist bill after another, and Spanberg's going to sign them all. Everybody said, somebody told me the other day, Spanberg's going to veto all this stuff because, she really needs to brandish your moderate credentials. I'm like, for what? Like, just a one-term governor, right? All she wants to do is be Gavin Newsom's VP. In order to do that, you got to sign every crackpot gun bill that comes across her desk. She's going to sign them all. I mean, you guys are so screwed, man.
Like, hey, who'd have thought you to get
everything
safety?
I can to help you.
Who'd have thought to get?
District.
Oh, sorry. Who'd have thought that to be safe in your life, you need to move out of Virginia and get into D.C.? Who'd have thought that?
I'm telling you guys, look, housing here is affordable. We're going to make it affordable. Come here, come to D.C. Now, Kline's kind of screwed because he teaches there in the Lynchburg, but, you're right over the border. Tell Myra, get out of there. Come to D.C., get a nice house here in Anacostia. You're good to go.
Well, I ain't going to Anacostia, but yeah, our lease is up in April. So, you never know what we might do. We have been in DC before.
Dude, I tell you what, man, I'll get you set up. I'll get you set up with me 2 blocks from the White House. I got a bunch of people here. Marcy McCarthy and a bunch of people. Brandon Beach, right? I'm the biggest advocate for DC. Anyway, that's not why we're here. Phil, let's get back to this Supreme Court. The Louisiana ruling, which would get rid of, minority majority districts. Some people say, Grover said the other day it would gain us 12 seats. They do that, we're going to win. Give us your assessment on that as a law professor, AG. Where's that going? Give us a timeline.
Well, I think there's a good chance that both the Texas map and the Louisiana map will survive Supreme Court scrutiny. And that's primarily, of course, because of the recent decision of the court that says that partisan gerrymandering is a political question. Now, again, going back to the history, the court got involved in redrawing districts because the Democrats of the Deep South engaged in racial gerrymandering back during Reconstruction and so forth. Eventually, the court said, look, you can't draw these snake-like districts to exclude minorities who at that time were Republicans predominantly. But now, of course, the political affiliation of the minorities has shifted significantly. And now you've got court-drawn maps that specifically benefit the Democratic Party. And the Supreme Court said, look, we've had enough of this because courts have gotten involved where there wasn't a racial bias, but actually it was the legislature doing what the legislature has the constitutional duty to do. Drawing these maps and political questions are beyond our scrutiny. That's what if Texas can bring forward strong support that these maps reflect the partisan divide in Texas and do not have a racial purpose, then Texas will prevail. And this has been established enough that I think that Attorney General Abbott and those involved in the process have built that case and will present that case well before the United States Supreme Court.
So if the Supreme Court agrees with Louisiana, obviously it affects Louisiana, gain a couple seats there, but other people are telling me that that'll change for the whole country and the Republicans could pick up 12 to 19 seats. True or false?
Well, I think it's possible. You need a stay of the lower court's order on the Texas case to pick up those Texas seats.
Phill Kline, law professor, Liberty University. Thanks for your input. Phil's going to be filling in for me 8 to 10 on Wednesday. Next one week from today, we're on vacation for Thanksgiving. And the one and only Jim Pfaff, resident, Maryland. But I'm going to talk him into moving to the district. I love the district, Jim. Myra's going to love it here. You just got to get into the district vibe. You're going to be good to go. I'm going to be talking to your wife. Your lease is up. Come to the district. Land of milk and honey, baby. Thanks, Jim, for being with us. I won't see you next week, Jim. Happy Thanksgiving to you and Myra. Morgan Griffith up next. Keep it right here.